Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together live here on Facebook every morning, 10:30 in the morning, where we figure out what's going on in Puerto Vallarta. What do we know? What do we want to know? What do we want to discover? What do we want to enjoy? What are the papers saying? How are we going to have a better life here in town? Well, that's what we're here for. We're here to connect with one another, with the destination, with Mexico's culture, with Mexico's heritage, with the latest news, and the occasional Karens and the occasional lords and ladies, people that do crazy things, and with governors that decide to push emergency buttons in the middle of the holiday season. Who cares? It's okay. It's holiday season 2020 in Puerto Vallarta, which is pretty crazy, just like everywhere else in the world. And what are we going to do about it? We're just going to try to connect. My name is Paco, and I welcome you, as always, to these very irreverent gatherings that we have every morning to discuss the news and whatever comes to mind so that we can enjoy ourselves here. And it's getting tricky, but, all we have to do is listen to the news and make the best of it and hang on. And that's what we're going to do today. If this is your first time here, my name is Paco again, and I welcome you to Coffee and Headlines. Please write the word new in your comments so that we can give you a proper welcome. Don't expect much festivity because this year nobody is being very festive, but what are we going to do? That's all I can say. So, did you hear the one about the emergency button? Yesterday, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Did you hear the one about the student that went to a foreign country? And she was a student from the United States, went to a foreign country, and decided to break the local COVID guidelines, and she was sent to jail, and now the parents are all frumpled. I think I just made that word up, because their daughter was put in jail in a foreign country. How dare they? All this and other wonderful tidbits is what we're going to share today. And let me take a quick look at who's here so that we can... Margaret says, good morning, Paco. What next? Well, Margaret, I tell you, it's been one of those years in which what are we going to do but have a good sense of humor about it all. Let us see. Karen is here. Hello, Karen. Claude always blesses us with his company. Good morning, cluster. I love that. Important questions, folks. As you know, please add the letter Q to the beginning of them so that we can make sure that we acknowledge them. Let's see what else we have here. Good morning, Craig. It's great to see you. Tracy Baker says, packing our bags, be there soon to quarantine in sunshine. Good for you. Good for you. I hope your travel is uneventful, and I hope that you can get here safely as you should. William likes the Luna cam. Well, Luna seems a little bit content just listening to the news this morning. You're coming here in 12 days. You should be fine, Sherry. If you're going to be here in 12 days, you're not even going to notice it. You don't strike me as the late night party goer. So I think you're going to be fine. I will tell you what the guidelines are. It's very easy, but we'll get to that in a second. Carol, you will be fine as well. And it's good to know that you're going to support local businesses. This is absolutely wonderful. Oh, did I really make that up? Frumpled? Frumpled sounds like somebody that is really, how dare you, feeling like, how dare you do this to me? I mean, I'm entitled. How dare you do this to me? I'm frumpled. Let's put it in the dictionary. I'm feeling frumpled today. Let's see. This year can't end soon enough. Well, Cindy, everything seems to indicate that 2021 is going to be, well, at least it's going to start just in as much of a colorful fashion. So brace yourselves. That's why I keep making brownies, among other things. Let's see. Luna looks unhappy that her favorite dance clubs will be closed. You are not correct, Paul. Her favorite dance club is her bed, in which I am privileged to be able to lay down every now and then. No, her favorite dance club is wide open, but we're not inviting anybody else to join us, unfortunately. Uh, Okay, so I am caught up with all your comments and suggestions, and I look at all your smiles and all that good stuff. 196 people on board. It's great to see you. So let us dive into the news. There's really not much to report, but what we have to report is important. Let's take a look. Well, we were just talking about how unfortunate things were in other parts of the country where they were going to spend the holidays shut down. And yesterday, our governor, Enrique Alfaro, rather unceremoniously dropped a little mini bomb on the closings that are going to take place in the metropolitan area of Guadalajara and in Puerto Vallarta. I'm going to cut to the chase and make it very simple. In Puerto Vallarta, the only thing that closes are nightclubs. From December 25th to January 10th, all nightclubs are closed. All private parties that involve more than 10 people are forbidden. It is that simple. The confinement is a lot more strict in Guadalajara City, where all kinds of guidelines are going to be put in place for the next couple of weeks. You may or may not necessarily want to know about those, but the bottom line is that, excuse me for a second. Oh, yeah, you didn't need to hear that. Parties and special New Year's Eve events are canceled, and this applies to both Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta. Everything else that I'm going to mention is applicable to Guadalajara, which is that public transportation will continue with normality. So the same thing applies to Puerto Vallarta. In Guadalajara, restaurants will have to close their doors starting at 7 p.m. and only offer service to go. In Guadalajara, all non-essential activities are suspended after 7 p.m. Then we see here in Puerto Vallarta, bars and nightclubs will remain closed during all this period. And in the metropolitan area of Guadalajara, during weekends, shopping centers and malls and markets will be closed during the weekend. So you see, the only thing that is going to be disrupted here in Puerto Vallarta is the nightlife, bars, nightclubs, and any idea you may have of throwing any kind of discreet or indiscreet private party to celebrate the New Year's. It is all forbidden, and that's pretty much the bottom line for it. Now, if you want to know why this is happening, there was a video that Governor Alfaro shared on Facebook yesterday, and this video has to do with some of the deals that the government made with the with as you know, Guadalajara is Jalisco rather has the economic group of experts and the health group of experts. And way back when the emergency button was pushed, the deal was we're not going to push anything again, and we're going to see this through December 24th. We didn't know that. This was not public knowledge. We found that out yesterday. The deal that the government made with the economic and the economic and the health groups, keeping in mind that all these measures are preventive. The deal was that we will see through to the Christmas season, which ends, according to Alfaro, on December 25th. And starting on December 25th, we will, again, as a preventive measure, bring things down in activity, because we shouldn't forget another important goalpost for the state, which is to resume school for students during the month of January. So, another one of the reasons why the government is being proactive is because the government of Jalisco wants to make sure that the schools can open in January as originally planned. There are other parameters that are important to keep in mind, and I'm scrolling here to this other article that I found, which will help us. In December, Jalisco as a state reached a percentage of hospital occupation of 33.2. And this is higher than the highest amount, which was back in July with 30.3. Now, and of course, we know that the percentage of positive cases that get tested has gone up to about 45%. So these numbers are a little bit on the high side as far as feeling comfortable, the government, to not take another preventive measure. And one of the things that Governor Alfaro is going to continue to do, and he expressed this in his video, is it's going to be what in Spanish we call estira y afloja, which would be to stretch and to pull. I mean, whenever the numbers start getting up, he'll need to cut down, and so forth and so on. So we're going to continue to ride this with occasional suspensions of activities until the vaccine and other solutions come forth. So the bottom line, again, for Puerto Vallarta, because I see a lot of questions that have come up. In fact, let me take a quick look at your comments just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Let's see. Hold on just a second. Okay, where do I start? Oh, you have all kinds of colorful comments today. Okay. Tom Botniak calls our governor Pelon. I am Pelon too. What can I say? No coordination with Nayarit makes this no sense. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, our state um, has been known to run things by its own tune, and of course, our governor is concerned about the well-being of our citizens in our state. We'll get to Nayarit in a second. I feel badly for the restaurants, but happy that this is being put into place. Nothing's going to happen to restaurants, Ronnie. Restaurants are going to continue to be able to operate normally. I mean, if your favorite restaurant was going to celebrate the arrival of the new year with a bang, pun intended, that is not going to happen. Your favorite restaurant, say, I know, for example, I think Noe Jose is having a New Year's Eve deal. They should be able to have their regular restaurant service, but they will not be allowed to have a New Year's Eve party. So there is really not that much of a difference here as far as restaurants is concerned. Thank you for that, Sylvie. This is correct. Restaurants are not closing. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay. Oh, I guess I'm already in the dictionary. Fantastic. Frumple, to wrinkle. Crumple, ruffle, disorder. Oh, so I didn't make it up. So I'm still feeling frumpled, but that's okay. Let's see. Private home parties with over 10 people are not supposed to be going on. If you hear a party that is going on that is not supposed to be going on, you know what to do. You call the happy number. Does the closing of New Year's parties also include large boat parties? I would think so, yes, and the occasional hovercraft and helicopter that happens to be planning any parties. Oh, good Lord, Sly. I don't know. I actually don't know. I mean, the odds that any one of us is being invited to a large boat private party are so slim, I cannot even answer that to you. But if you have been invited to such a swanky affair, I would get in touch with the hosts of such affair. So restaurants are not closed at 7 p.m. No, restaurants are not closed at 7 p.m. They are closed at 7 p.m. as of the 25th, but not in Puerto Vallarta, Lucina. This is very important. Restaurants continue to operate just fine. It's the nightclubs that are not going to be operating. Pamela continues to be confused. Okay, it's very simple. In Puerto Vallarta, from December 25th to January the 10th, no bars, no nightclubs, no nightlife. Your restaurants will operate just fine. Dun, 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 dun. Restaurants and bars in hotels open. I would imagine so, although the bars within the hotel, I'm not entirely sure that they're going to be open. La, da, 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 da. Welcome to the fold, my baby. It is all crazy. It is all crazy, but it is what it is. Um, Patrick, I'm sorry to hear that you canceled your trip, but your level of safety is important, and it is important to you, and it is important to all of us. Hopefully, you will feel safe enough to come to Puerto Vallarta soon, as many of us feel very safe living here. I feel very safe. And Bloomberg just said that Mexico has the worst. We got the worst score worldwide for the worst country in which you could be living with COVID, and it said that Mexico is the worst place. And I thought to myself, well, there are some parts in Mexico that are very troubled because of the number of cases and so forth and so on. But I believe here in Puerto Vallarta, we're very fortunate because things are not bad. Are the airports in PV requiring anything upon landing? Cash. No, I'm just kidding, because you're going to want to pay your taxi cab. Airports are not expecting anything special from you as of right now. Hold on just a second. Excuse me. As of right now, Mexico has not introduced any kind of restrictive measure or guideline that would prevent anyone from arriving into our country. There are talks here, there, and everywhere about some people that are getting spooked about the new variants of the coronavirus happening in England, and some people are saying, well, maybe we should close down the border. None of that is happening in Mexico. Even Anthony Fauci said something along the lines of, it's too early to become alarmed about these new variants of the coronavirus. Where can I find the whole article? Arlene, I would be so helpful if I could find out what article you are referring to specifically. If you mean some of the articles that I've been showing you this morning, please know that after every broadcast, we put together all those articles in what we call the show notes, and you can browse through those once they get published, both onto the Facebook page that you're on right now, and also onto the onto the website where we archive all our daily broadcasts. What a great question from Joe Willis. Does the government notify you directly, or do you have to follow what's in the news? In Mexico style, Joe, and I'll let Logan provide his own answer, as he's already done that. We have to go looking for the information. Everybody and anybody, and information does get disseminated by the government, but it's not like you have a special messenger knocking on your door or a special personalized phone call saying, oh, hello, you are to close down now. No, we have to go looking for all this information. All parties will go across a bridge 15 minutes away. We'll get to that in a second. Let's see. Oh, I sound great in stereo. I love it. This is too funny. Beach is open. Yes, you can spend as much time in the beach as you want. There is no change. There is no change in that regard. Has anyone heard of food has to be purchased to order alcohol? I haven't heard anything to that effect, Christopher. All I know is that if you are a bar and operating as a bar, you cannot open. However, you are in a very special case because I believe you have a restaurant license as well. So how are the reglamentos or the people that are policing this are going to be able to tell the difference between one and the other is a mystery to me. I really couldn't tell you, but I would call reglamentos as I know you have in the past to try to get the latest and greatest. Let's see. Question: PB bars and beach bars during daytime. Um, Good question. I don't think they are able to operate. Period. Um, I haven't seen anything about schedules. I haven't seen anything about schedules. All that I've read so far is that bars cannot open between December 25th to January the 10th. Um, Paco Consima duo show at River Cafe Friday night, open air lounge. Today is Tuesday. I can barely plan my day for the next day or the day after, but if I can, I will be so very happy to check it out. Thank you for the invitation. Da, 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 da. Um, my personal thoughts on that, Tomas, is that business owners will always try to find a way to work around the guidelines. And some people will do so responsibly, and other people's will do so irresponsibly. And that's just the nature of the beast. What I think is I'm going to stay home buried under a pillow as much as I can with Luna by my side. Um, let's see what else. What else? What else? Ba, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Well, I mean, it was half a joke and half truth. I mean, the first thing you want to do once you get to the airport is you want to get to the nearest ATM to get some mula so that you can pay for your transportation. Um, Reschedule a trip to February, so our coffee date will be then headed to Paris today. Mon Dieu, good for you, Gina. Continue to be safe. Gina is our flight attendant correspondent for Coffee and Headlines. She is the one that keeps us abreast of what's going on with the world. Let's see what else we have. And I am sorry I am taking all this time answering all these very important questions, but every single question of yours is important. Will restaurants be allowed to serve alcohol with purchase of food? Oh, honey, I seriously hope so. I mean, how could you go out and have Thai food at Michael's restaurant without having a coconut martini? It's just impossible. But again, your restaurant cannot throw a wild bar like party after hours. Um, do 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 do. Da, 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 da. Bars are closed. I don't think it matters if they are on the beach or up in Quapinole. Paul, that is the bottom line. Thank you for chiming in. My dear friend, Paul Piba. Paul is my best friend in town. He is really my brother's sister. Um, um, mm, mm. Is a restaurant on a specific corner in Cinco de Diciembre that begins with the letter M and has struggled for 6 months allowed to stay open? I would believe so. Sean, why don't you give us the name of your restaurant, which I know, but why don't you share your restaurant Facebook page so that we can all go and support it? Please do that so that we can see this. Viewership always goes up when there's new restrictions announced. Well, that is wonderful, William, because that means that people like to come here to enjoy trustworthy information, and we try very hard not to disappoint. We thrive on trying to tell the news as we are, understanding them and without any tinting, although we throw in a couple of colorful opinions every now and then. Will open air markets be able to be open in PV? Again, as far as I know, everything in Puerto Vallarta is working as usual, except for bars. Do I know about the paper mache exhibit at Galeria Vallarta tonight? I just heard about it, and unfortunately, I didn't get the news note in time to include it on today's broadcast. But if you are kind enough, Jill, to share the URL of the Facebook invite on the comments, maybe other people will be inclined to attend. Let's see. Is the vaccine being distributed in Mexico yet? Not yet, but Marcelo Ebrard, our foreign affairs chancellor, has indicated that it's going to happen this week. Absolutely, he has said. I think after today's show, you will need some liquid relief. Want to hook up? Oh, honey, yes, yes, yes. Nourishment. and liquid relief. I love liquid relief. What about the state of Nayarit? Well, that is a perfect segue to continue with our news because the state of Nayarit is not closing down. So if you want to have a wild party, the Restaurant Association in Riviera Nayarit has indicated that they continue with their own guidelines. I forget what color Nayarit is under right now. So we would have to look at the federal traffic light or stoplight indicator to see where Nayarit is at. But Nayarit is continuing with all the events that they're going to have. So if you need to end the year with a bang, that's where you want to go. Let's see. Along those lines, let me offer a quick chime for my friend Paul, whose drag brunch will continue as usual. Tables will safely spaced. It's just breakfast with mimosas after that. The hostess is a man in a dress, me, but I don't think that makes it an event. No, I don't think that makes it an event. I have friends here in Coffee and Headlines that have joined me for a brunch at Hotel Mercurio, and it is not only lovely food, it is also lovely entertainment. Oh my God, somebody else needs Siam food. What do you say we all just flock to Siam cuisine this evening and cause so much chaos that Michael loses it altogether? Because Michael, the owner, is always so much in control and so calm. I would love to see Michael like wig out for the number of clients or whatever. And that's just me. And yes, that coconut martini is sounding good. I tell you, these things are really wonderful. Thank you for the link, Jill. Art Vallarta is indeed the place where you can find out more about this evening's event. Let me continue with a few headlines so that we can then talk about a couple of leisurely stuff. And we have this. I had to save this. I had to share it. This is a statement from a doctor here in Mexico. We are sick and tired of the stupidity of people that are incredulous. And this is doctors criticizing the citizens for not respecting the red traffic light, the red stoplight. This is obviously a doctor. He must be in the Mexico City. Oh yeah, he's in Toluca, which is the capital of the state of Mexico, right next to Mexico City. And what is happening here is that a lot of doctors are starting to get just sick and tired of people that just don't get it or don't believe or are not paying attention to everything that's going to be happening. And I can certainly understand that, which is why the bottom line, since the beginning of the pandemic continues to be the same. We take care of ourselves. We follow the guidelines. It's that simple. I will tell you what happened to some stupid kid who flew from the United States to some island where she did not follow the local guidelines and she was sent to jail. And now the parents are all frumpy. But let me continue on with the news before we go there. In case you're wondering when all the military personnel is going to go away after the very notorious murder of a former Jalisco governor, there is no date in which they are going to go away. The 150 additional security elements that we have in the city, plus one crazy helicopter that's driving everybody crazy, they're going to stay in town indefinitely. We're talking about 17 patrols, 34 motorcycles, bicycles, and all kinds of people that are trying to convey a sense of safety in our city. Along those lines, it is important to note that nothing has stopped tourism. I mean, tourists keep arriving despite the fact that we have soldiers and security and military personnel all over the city. What I'm reading in this note is that the numbers of people that are arriving is quite substantial. So this is good as long as these tourists are willing and able to follow the local guidelines. Once they're not, then it becomes an issue, as you know. When is the vaccine supposed to arrive in PV? Says Gregory Smith. I say I don't know exactly, but the schedule has already been distributed, and we know that the federal government will begin with health personnel, and then moving down the months, it takes seniority as a priority. You know, the older citizens will get the vaccine first, and then the next month another decade younger, and so forth and so on. Let me see what else we have in terms of comments, and then we talk about the weather. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bim, bum, bum. Let's see. Kathleen chimes in on the drag brunch. Yummy and so much fun. I think that's wonderful. Um, let's see. What, visit another country, don't follow their rules, go to jail. Sounds about right to me. Oh, wait till I share this one with you. It's going to be super fun. Those military men are super sexy. Well, I wouldn't mind being detained as long as I'm treated nicely. Uh, okay, let me scoot over to the weather, and then we continue reading comments. Hang in there. And to do the weather, it would help if I actually turned the weather on. There it is. 25 degrees Celsius right now, feels like 27. It's 77 degrees Fahrenheit. We have 57% humidity, so it's going to be a little bit schwitzy, but just a little bit. Expect to wait 9 months after the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn for a new planet to be born. Oh, that's sweet. In case you missed it, last night we had the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn for the first time in, I believe, 400 years, something to that effect. So if you looked at the southern sky, you saw something that you will not again see in a lifetime unless you discover some kind of magic potion. Ooh, sirens. Can you hear that? Anyhow, the weather forecast for today is going to be mostly cloudy through the day with a high temperature of 28, low temperature 18. Tomorrow it's going to be clear through the day with a high temperature of 29, low temperature 16. And then Christmas Eve is going to be clear through the day, high temperature of 28, low temperature of 17. How about that? I see comments about military men and I start blushing like a schoolgirl. This is really wonderful. Moving on with more headlines, I want to continue talking about the arrival of tourists. Everything seems to indicate that occupation in hotels locally is up to, well, it is expected that it'll go up to 75% by the time the year is over. I understand that the occupation is fairly good in hotels. In fact, reservations are up to the brim, according to this other article. We are at 65% capacity this week, and it is expected that during the next 15 days, reservations in local hotels will be at 75%, which is the highest. Now, who are these girls? We don't know. It's the highest percentage allowed by the government right now. Now, before I share this wonderful Karen in progress or Karen in the making, I want to take a quick look at your comments. Let's see. I'm fine with helicopters flying over my casa, seeing all the branches of Mexico's finest. I love it. Do we know where the vaccine will be available? I would imagine, Michelle, that the vaccine will be available in in public hospitals, ISTE and IMSS. That's where I believe the vaccine will become available first and foremost. But again, no specific information has been offered. Although I know that there's been a series of simulations of vaccine distribution. The government at different levels has already been rehearsing how it's actually going to work out once the actual vaccines arrive. So I am sure that we will all become better informed as the news becomes available. Thank you for that correction, Candace. 800 years. Ooh, I better start exercising to make sure that I'm still around. Um, Thank you very much for that again, Scotty. Hey, Scotty, I haven't seen you in forever. Um, let's see. What else do we have? Ba, ba, da, ba, 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 da, ba, ba. Um, Please remind people that they must wear a mask before or after getting into places. They can get us in a lot of trouble. We had to tell people to leave the store when they don't want to wear it or use gel. Sorry, but safety first. Thank you very much, Saul. I think that is a common situation with store owners and restaurant owners when they encounter guests that think because they are blessed with some kind of something, they can walk places and not follow the local guidelines. And that's just something you cannot do. If you don't like it, you need to go back and and remain in places where you can do whatever you think you can do. Here in Puerto Vallarta and in our country, well, you have to follow the local guidelines. Um, does anyone know where the term a Karen comes from? I've seen a couple of articles online, and and there's information about this on Google, Veronica. If you want to just find out about this, I've seen a couple of articles, but because I'm not too crazy about calling people Karens, I kind of like the Mexican option of calling people lords and ladies, because that's what we do here in Mexico. So I'm going to tell you the story of not a Karen, but a lady. A lady. This is going to We're going to call her Jet Ski, Lady Jet Ski. And this story concerns, and this has nothing to do with Puerto Vallarta, but I had to share. Family of 18-year-old student jailed in Cayman Islands for breaking COVID rules appeals to Trump for help, gets very little sympathy on Twitter. And indeed, this happened. This girl, with a most wonderful name of Skylar Mack. Skylar Mack. What is your name? Skylar Mack. Oh my God. God help her. Anyway, she decided to fly to the Cayman Islands to watch her boyfriend compete on a jet ski competition. She broke the law. She was sent in jail. She has been in jail for 4 months because she broke the law. And now the parents are like, well, how dare they? And they're looking for help and they're looking for sympathy and so forth and so on. And all I can say is, when in Rome, do what the Romans do. If you are visiting a foreign country, regardless of where you're visiting from, we follow guidelines, and you have to follow the guidelines wherever you go. I'm actually happy to see a country that is enforcing things in that way. And whenever I hear of unfortunate stories from my business friends that have to turn down patrons because they're not wearing masks, of course it's unpleasant, but we have to take care of the bottom line. Final comments from you. Let's take a look. Just an FYI, Jupiter and Saturn catch up to each other every 20 years. The difference this time is how close they appear to be from Earth. Thank you very much, Dana. I hope it's Dana. Please don't hold it against me if I mess it up. Um, oh, Eric says, keep that princess locked up. Do you guys know Eric Wichner? We've talked about him before. He's the owner of Vallarta Eats Food Tours, a great source of trustworthy experiences eating traditional Mexican food on the street. It doesn't get any better. No sympathy on rule breakers. Perfect example of someone who thinks they are privileged. Unfortunately, you are correct, Claude. And unfortunately, this happens with a certain amount of frequency. Anyhow, of course, a vegan statement. Thank you, Candace. Thank you. I love Candace when she brings in the vegan stuff. Anyhow, I think we've reached pretty much the end of today's broadcast. Even while there's still 212 of us here, I appreciate the fact that you come back to Coffee and Headlines day after day, or as frequently as you feel the need to connect with what's going on here in the city, to connect with news that are important to us as locals, and to connect with all the good stuff that Mexico has to offer. I appreciate that these are difficult times, and I appreciate that it's challenging to put on a happy face. I have friends that are going through depression. I have friends that are going through uncertainty, both personal and financial. I see around me all kinds of wear and tear in our moods and our spirits, but I remain comforted by simple things like, trying to remain useful and trying to remain optimistic and trying to remain important to those of us that are in our own personal cluster. So, If you start getting a little desperate or a little blue or things like that, just reach out to your friends, reach out to your family of choice, and let us continue to try to have some fun through this, or at least find some humor in everything we see around us. If that was the case for you, if you enjoyed today's broadcast, if you found important or interesting or funny information today, please remember that Coffee and Headlines is a project that is sponsored by people like you. So if you want to find out more about that, just visit this link and find out of the ways in which you can become a supporting member of Coffee and Headlines. I hope to see you soon. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so it's Walking Wednesday. We'll have another walking experience between now and tomorrow. Stay happy, stay calm, stay kind, stay optimistic, and keep a sense of humor because, as I said at the beginning of the pandemic, somebody better be writing all this shit up and come up with a fabulous musical next year. And another one about President Trump. Have a good day.